Well, in a sense, what we're doing is we're looking for spiritual transformation, and yet we're willing to give it a couple of days a month. We aren't willing to give it the effort and the focus and the relationship, the deeper level relationships that are going to be needed for us to find spiritual transformation. You see, it's not, for a good spiritual leader, I don't just want you to come to church more. I don't want you to feel obligated to come to church. I don't want you to feel guilty if you don't come to church. I want your life so centered on this mission of Jesus that you've entered onto a battleship and you look around your life and you see that you're at war against sin in your life, your own heart. You're at war against a real devil that is out to get us. You're at war against a world whose entire system is against the ways of God. And you're thinking to yourself, I can't do without these relationships. It's as important to me as anything in my life. Do you see the difference in perspective and the difference in motivation? And so the hope of a good spiritual leader is that you would come just drawn to those relationships because you know it's your only hope. It's really your only hope for life change, is to not neglect the meeting together. Now, these early Christians were, if they didn't meet together, they were not going to have strength to hold on to their faith. They were going up in front of firing squads. You may not lose your life because of your faith here, but you have struggles in your life, right? You have trials, you have seasons of struggle, just like they did in the first century. And so what the scriptures are telling us is enter into those deeper life together relationships. I would just propose one of the reasons you might be frustrated with relationships in the church and relationships with the church is because you haven't really given them the chance that they need. You haven't plugged into them at the level that you need to experience life change. Jesus did 12. He grabbed 12 guys and he did life together with them at a very deep level. He grabbed 3 of those 12 and went even deeper. They got a little bit more access with God. And so that's the model of our center groups. We really want you to get plugged into a center group here. We want you to get to know 12 people really, really, really well. We want them to get to know you really, really, really well. We want you to meet regularly. And we want you to get together and encourage each other. We want you to open your lives up to each other. Because your hope isn't in each other's performance. Your hope is in Jesus. And so you can be real about who you are in the center groups. And so I kind of identified, you see, I've just shared with you why I think you might have been frustrated because of not plugging into it. But the frustration with the spiritual leader is, and if you've ever had a spiritual leader look frustrated, this could be one of the reasons. The dental field, my wife's a dental hygienist, and dentists, they have a very high rate of suicide and depression. And some think that is because they go through just as much schooling as doctors, but they aren't as esteemed in the culture. That could be part of it. I actually think part of it is because they look in people's mouths every 6 months, and they see cavities, and they see periodontal disease, and they see a lack of just hygiene habits in the person's life, and they plead with them. Brush, floss, take care of your mouth. They come back 6 months later, and their bill is even higher. They've got more cavities. They don't floss regularly. And the dentist is just going, oh! And so, for the spiritual leader, here's what that looks like. I'm pleading with you to get into deep life together relationships. I'm pleading with you to open up your souls to each other and do the type of life together that Jesus did with his 12. And then life is coming down on you, and I don't see you for a month, not you, but just, this is hypothetical, right? And then I don't see you for a month, and you come, and your life's falling apart, and you can't figure out why you have hope. You have no hope. You don't have peace. Your joy is robbed, and you're just throwing in the faith pile. And I'm going, oh! I have no spiritual silver bullet for you. I could open up the Bible and quote scripture to you, but it's not going. Do you see what I'm saying? We're all going to be frustrated on both sides of the fence until we get into relationships where we encourage one another, where we're deep enough in relationships. We believe that happens here in center groups.